You know what's funny? Sometimes when I'm putting these segments together, it feels like you have to stretch to find things that need to go together. You want to implement different articles that kind of help show your point of view. But one that never seems to need help with that is the idea that celebrities, Hollywood celebrities, really, really, really love to get involved with politics and really, really love to divide their fan bases. And what I've got here is just another example of a couple of celebrities who have been doing this again recently, as always, and one from somebody who I'm sure we will talk about later on PCC, kind of realizing the damage that does, not just to their careers, but to the country. And it's funny because it feels like no matter how much things change, they stay the same. The celebrities I'm talking about are, of course, George Clooney, who is he's answering for his op-ed that he wrote last year trying to get Joe Biden out of running for office. And then we've got Matthew Lillard, who is, many of you know him as a Shaggy. I know him as Stu from Scream, at like a screening for one of the early Scream movies. I think for the first one where he says fuck ICE, and then and we've got Scream 7 coming down the pipeline like in the next couple of months in February, and then we've got Jennifer Lawrence, who seems to be going the other direction and pulling around to the idea that maybe just talking about politics all the time when you're busy making movies that are supposed to turn a profit isn't the greatest thing in the world. And she also adds in there that it has to do with the country being divided, so maybe it's partially monetary, maybe it's partially just how she feels about things. But it's interesting. This is what George Clooney had to say. This is an article from Variety. It says, George Clooney says that it was a mistake to have Kamala Harris replace Joe Biden in the 2024 election. Quote, she was given a very tough ask. They basically, at Variety, they asked George Clooney if he felt like it was a mistake to write the op-ed that he wrote last year, where he basically said, hey, nice debate performance, Joe, but it's time to go to bed. You got to take some time off. It's not good for you to run for re-election. And I think everybody understood that to be true because Joe Biden is insane and out of his mind. That's just my personal opinion. This is what they said when they asked him that question. He said, yes, we had a chance. I wanted there to be, as I wrote in the op-ed, a primary. Let's battle test this quickly and get it up and get going. Well, we all know that primary isn't what they ended up doing. She was basically anointed for her position, which is one of the reasons so many people scoff now at the idea of how they talk about saving democracy when they can't even save democracy within their own party. Says, I think the mistake was that it being Kamala is she had to run against her own record. It's very hard to do if the point of running is to say, I'm not that person. It's hard to do, so she was given a very tough ask. I think it was a mistake, quite honestly, but we are where we are. We were going to lose more House seats, they say, so I don't know. Not to not do it would be to say, I'm not going to tell the truth. So basically he's saying, do it anyways. You have to do it because they need to get Biden out of office, or because they don't think that Biden is fit for running for office. And they go back about him standing on what he believed was his civic duty. He says, that was the deal. You have to take your stand if you believe in it, he said. Take a stand for it, and then deal with the consequences. That's the rules. So when people criticize me, they criticize me for my stance against the war 20 years ago. People picketed my movies and they put me on a deck of cards. I have to take that. That's fair. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with criticism for what I stand, or for where I stand. I defend their right to criticize me as much as I defend my right to criticize them. I'm okay with all those statements. I think it goes against the notion that you're going to make a lot of money in these industries. Now, George Clooney, look, he's made his money. It doesn't matter. He got a huge paycheck for, what was it, Wolf's from Apple. Like, George Clooney is doing all right. And I think a big part of that people don't realize is he's got a strong connection to the Obama family. He's like vacationed with the Obamas. He campaigned for Barack Obama, I believe, on both of his terms. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's the point, right? Is he believes what he stands for. And while you and I may scoff at the idea that these celebrities literally never shut up about things that are going to divide their audiences, I can respect him standing on business, even if I think that the person he was that they put in there to run for was absolutely a horrible candidate. And then, of course, we had this from Matthew Lillard, and I can't get over it because they're literally, like, I don't know if the press tour has started for Scream 7 yet, but Scream 7 is going through it right now, and Matthew Lillard is going to be in that cast. I have no idea how Stu survived, assuming he's not like some type of dream or a flashback. You know, he had like a TV dropped on him. If you know what the size of a TV was in 1995, you're not living through that TV falling on your head. But they're literally about to start the press tour for Scream 7. They are dealing with backlash from leftists who are boycotting the movie right now because of Melissa Barrera and the firing of Melissa Barrera over her stance being pro-Palestine. So they're already going through it. And somebody in the movie is like, you know what? You know what I think I'm going to do? Now that they're mad because of, now that the left is mad, now I'm going to piss off the right normal people by having one of the stars of the movie come out and say this.
Fuck ICE. In this time in this city, we need to lead with love. Do not forget that shit in this moment.
Yeah, those are platitudes, and it has nothing to do with governance. And many people would say that allowing people to enter your country indiscriminately and make life harder for U.S. citizens is not leading with love, and you're harming them, because what you do when you allow people to enter the country illegally who do not have the right to fair wages, who do not have the right to vote, though we all know that that's probably not true, that they're going to do it anyways, that they end up becoming second-class citizens. That is not love. You're also harming all of the people that work very, very hard to come here the legal way. You're harming them most of all. So no, you're not leading with love. You're leading with just bullshit.
To be political.
It absolutely has to be political. Sorry, I don't even like politics, but you don't have a say in the matter for this.
But to be political is shit. Second of all, vote. Prop 50. Yes to 50. You have to vote. If you don't vote,
It's look, I posted this the other day. I'm sorry, guys. I posted this the other day. It's like they can't help themselves. It's like somebody puts a microphone in front of a celebrity. Celebrities, literally, anytime someone asks them any question ever, and any celebrity, not even like failing celebrities or ones who are looking to reignite their name in the headlines. Literally, any celebrity has like two responses they can say: fuck ICE. Fuck AI. And I'm gonna be hard. I'm gonna be honest. Like, when they do that, that just makes me want to like say, like, support even harder. Like, I've got heavy criticisms for what AI is going to do to the job market, absolutely. But the more they say these things, the more edgy they try to sound as they try to rouse support for things. It just makes me laugh because they come across as desperate. They come across as divisive for their own work. And for the most part, the people that people gravitate to now, the celebrities that people gravitate to now, tend to stay away from these things. Look, Sydney Sweeney makes her own comments that could come across as quasi-political, but she has found this way of maneuvering that keeps her away from it. Glenn Powell is another fantastic example of that. Glenn Powell is a star on the rise. He knows what to say and when to say it. He knows what not to say and when not to say it, even more importantly. And it's like they can't help themselves. It's like, I actually believe that many of these interviewers for these companies, whether it's Variety or Deadline, I think they actually hate these celebrities. I think they're jealous and they hate these celebrities, and they love to tee up these questions. They might even agree with them. Joe Schmo 32 interviewer Boogaloo might agree with whatever they're saying, but he knows that, propping up that question for him is going to get him bad press, and I think that they have a little bit of glee on the inside when they share those thoughts. But then you get the likes of a Jennifer Lawrence, who, has been very openly and outspokenly political in the past. That is without a doubt. But she seems to be coming around to a moment of self-reflection, which is good for everybody, if you ask me. I think you should always be introspective with all of your ideas and your thoughts, and I think that you should be constantly challenging as to whether you're going about things the right way. Some people are better at it than others. I've always found that for me, being through addiction and coming out the other side forces you to be introspective all the time, which can be a good thing, but at other times it can be bad because you don't always feel like you've got firm ground underneath your feet, which can make it hard for you to feel any sense of confidence. But it is good to question your ideas in the past and to wonder if you're on the proper path, and that seems to be what Jennifer Lawrence is doing. This was a quote. There was a full article about this, but I'm just going to read this quote because I think we might end up covering this more on PCC today. We might go more in depth. She says, I don't really, they asked if she wants to get involved in politics more. She says, I don't really know if I should speak out on Trump and U.S. politics to the press anymore. Quote, the first Trump administration was wild, and just how can we let this stand? I felt like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But as we've learned, election after election, celebrities do not make a difference whatsoever who people vote for. My gosh. it's like the heavens have opened up and Hallelujah started playing. Somebody's starting to get it. She's not even conceding that the people on the other side of the aisle are right. She's conceding that her side doesn't have the power that they once did, that the cultural zeitgeist no longer falls in line with mainstream celebrities. People are going to make up their own mind. She says, celebrities do not make a difference whatsoever on who people vote for. So then what am I doing? I'm just sharing my opinion on something that's going to add fuel to a fire that's ripping the country apart. We are so divided. I think I'm in a complicated recalibration because I'm also an artist. With this temperature and the way things can turn out, I don't want to start turning people off to films and to art that could change consciousness or change the world because they don't like my political opinions. That's the crazy thing, right? It's like back in the day, they snuck that messaging into the art very, very well. I always make the claim here. I said that people don't even realize that the politics was in their movies before, but the propaganda was made a lot more eloquently. Therefore, the propaganda goes down easier. Therefore, you can change a lot of hearts and minds. So, for example, nowadays, when they want to tell you about the positive nature of LGBTQ rights and the community, they don't do so by showing you, cool characters where everybody likes them, including the main character of the show who may not be LGBTQ, which is a cosign if they do like them. What they do is they show you a bumbling idiot who is hateful and bigoted, and that turns people off because they can see it right away. They see that the person that you're writing in there is supposed to be middle America. They know that it's ham-fisted because it doesn't fit in with the rest of the writing. You did a far better job by taking your well-written, positive main character and showing that they loved and respected everybody. And that was how you changed hearts and minds. That's why kids that grew up in the 90s felt like they grew up in a time of like utter racial harmony because the propaganda in the media was made a lot better than it is today. Whereas this stuff today is so ham-fisted. They're like, what am I supposed to believe that this is like a normal, real person in the real world? Certainly these people exist, but that's not the point of this show. And you're just harming yourself because you're turning it into edutainment. So they knew what they were doing better before, and maybe it's just the advent of streaming, and there's more writers that are both not as talented as writers of years past, but also more politically radicalized than writers of years past. But the average writer back in the day in Hollywood, it's not like they were like a huge conservative. Certainly, many of them might have been fiscal conservatives, but there was still liberalism and there was still leftism in Hollywood. It was just made better so that everybody could watch it without feeling they were being talked down to. She continues. I want to protect my craft so that you can still get lost in what I'm doing. And if I can't say something that's going to speak to some kind of peace or lowering the temperature or some kind of solution, I don't want to be a part of the problem. I don't want to make the problem worse. I try to express my politics through my work. A lot of movies coming out from my production company are expressions of the political landscape, and that's how I feel I can be helpful. Well, I got a message for her right now, which is that, depending on how well they are written, that's not going to really work either in the year 2025. But I appreciate the fact that she feels like on the press circuit, when talking to journalists, just randomly spouting off about her politics isn't going to be helpful. Certainly if I was a producer for a movie, or somebody who has a financial stake in whether a movie does well, I would want my artist to be as neutral as possible. For her, if she's got a production company, so theoretically, she is involved in that part of the process, and she is financially someone who could benefit or fail based on whether a movie does well. She's not just an actor who's receiving their paycheck. She has an interest in whether a movie does well. I think that expressing your politics through your art can be good. I think more often than not, it fails, especially in current year, but I appreciate her at least being a bit introspective about it. More celebrities could do that. You cannot cure boredom with fuck ICE or fuck AI. You just can't. It's not going to work for anybody. That's my thoughts on the matter, guys. Let me know down below what you think. These are just a couple of examples. I have no doubt that we are going to talk in further depth about Jennifer Lawrence. Maybe we'll tie it in for a show and get other opinions on it. But let me know down below, guys. Does this feel like a sign of the cultural vibe shift, as they keep saying? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But it's good to see a little bit of introspection coming from Hollywood when most of them are still desperate to cling to relevancy by claiming that to say, F ICE or FAI. It's just so boring. It's just so tiresome. If you don't know what our podcast is, guys, Pop Culture Crisis is live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. Hope to see you there, guys. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.